today's video, I'm going to be showing you a St. Patrick's Day design that is Shamrock shake themed, and I have the shake on the end of a rainbow, so it looks like it's the pot of gold, and that actually goes between two nails, so these aren't necessarily practical and wearable. In fact, to be perfectly honest, it was really hard to take the pictures because the two nails are attached. But if you do want to wear it, it'd be easily tweaked to make it a lot more wearable and convenient so you could actually function in day-to-day life. I hope you love this design. The colors I'm using are a part of Double Dip's Lucky Charm Kit. And while this kit is made and it's promoted for St. Patrick's Day, all of the greens would be lovely for spring to create some leaves for flowers, and then they'd also come right back around and be perfect for Christmas time next year, because there's three kinds of greens in there, and then a really sparkly silver, a super sparkly gold, like gold, and then a white that has just like this pink hue shimmery in it. I love that white one. It'd be great for backgrounds. So if you're interested in that kit, I'll put the name of it and all the colors and all that jazz in the description box below, as well as my discount code, so check that out, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
So here's that first color. It's called Be Fierce, and that's the one that I said is gold, because I can't even emphasize how like intensely gold it is. It is so pretty. So I'm going to begin with an overlay of that color over this nail, and with all of these, I did not encapsulate them, which I know kind of goes against everything that I say over and over and over again, but I actually just wanted to see how these glitters would react if I filed right on top of them, and they did fine. So part of the reason I encapsulate is to protect glitter, and part of it's to add strength. And since these I knew weren't ever going to be worn, the strength element wasn't a huge deal for me. So after they're filed, I'm going to apply a layer of gel sealer over the top of that. And now the next color I'm going to use is the color White Gleam, which is the one that I said has like this ever so slight pink kind of hue to it. It is very subtle. You can't even hardly even see it in the video. But if you just give it a slight shift, that just kind of catches the light with this pink. So it's really pretty. And like I said, perfect for backgrounds, especially if you want a background that's white but not just plain white. This one would be really nice for that. So we're going to sculpt an arch on a nail form backing that is about the distance of your two nails apart. I sculpted mine about the distance of my two nails apart on my little nail stand and not my actual hand, which is part of the reason why I had such a hard time taking the photos, is because it was holding my fingers apart a little further than I wanted to be held. I have really tiny hands though, so that probably plays into it. But then we're going to glue the arch between the middle and the ring nail. So those are the two that have the color Be Fierce, the gold on them. And then after that's glued down, I'm going to use some acrylic paint and paint a rainbow over the top of my white arch. So pretty much for that arch, you could almost use any color you want. The one benefit of using like white instead of clear is that it's just going to make your colors a little bit more vibrant, especially the yellow. I don't know if you guys' yellows are like mine, but it doesn't matter what yellow paint I have, it always is sheer and streaky over the top of another color. So typically I would put white under it no matter what. So there's the benefit of using white. And so I always, whenever I'm painting my rainbows, and you guys will see this in another St. Patrick's Day design that I have coming up, I always do red, then yellow, then blue, and then go back and do orange and then green. This is just leaving each color a little chance to dry in between. And like I said, I'm using acrylic paint and not gel paint. If you're using gel paint, you'd want to flash cure after each of these colors, or gel polish too. So just get your rainbow painted in there, and then after you have that and it's all dry, apply a layer of matte top coat over the top of the rainbow, and then we can start sculpting our little cloud. So I've got the color Victorian Cameo, and that's the one that is the gray or the silver, I suppose. It's not as silver as I'd say the gold is gold, but I do have, it is just a really nice, pretty, metallic gray. But we're going to sculpt our cloud, like I said, and I actually did a mixed bead of the color White Gleam and that Victorian Cameo, so it's got this kind of foggy, cloudy look, a really nice cloud color for something that's a little bit glamorous. So I've got those two, and I'm doing just this like kind of layered cloud effect. So I sculpted one basic cloud shape in the background, and then I'm going to do a second layer to my cloud to give it a little bit more dimension, and then I'm going to sculpt my little shamrock shaped cup. And so for that, I'm going to use this or sculpt some clear around a smoothie straw. So it's basically just a larger plastic straw. And I'm going to kind of pinch the straw on the one end. I don't know if you guys can tell that I'm pinching it. That's going to kind of taper the end of the cup so that it's wider at the top and more narrow at the bottom. And then you're going to, after that clear base is sculpted, just file the sides to smooth them out, because they're not going to be perfectly straight or anything. So if you just take the file and give it a quick little little run across just to straighten everything out. That'll really make a difference. And then on a nail form backing, I'm going to be sculpting a half circle of clear acrylic, sorry, and then place my cup down, and this is going to be for the bottom of the cup. And then take your brush and sort of scrape off any extra. So now I'm going to take my 3 colors of green, which are Woolen Mittens, which is the brightest color, and it has just like a very slight gold over hue to it. The color Cloudburst, which is a grass green glitter. And then last but not least, the color St. Nicholas, which is just this really nice, rich green. It's so creamy. And you'll see me using it a little bit later and just see how easy that color St. Nicholas is to sculpt with. But then we're going to take mixes of the White Gleam and each of those 3 greens and create just some really nice swirls within the cup. So just kind of mix up the colors and grab one and then grab a different one and really blend them together to make the color a little bit more pastel and give it that Shamrock shake color. And then again on our nail form backing, we're going to sculpt the back of the cup. So this is going to be just a big flat space of the clear. Press the cup down, use your brush to clean up the extra acrylic from the sides and just sort of get rid of any extra that's there. If you don't do that step, all you have to do is file it off. But if you want to save yourself some filing, you can easily do that with the tip of your brush. Now going back to White Gleam, we're going to be sculpting a base for the top of the cup. And then after that has set and you can pop it off the nail form backing, set a fairly large bead of White Gleam that you've drained the back of the brush out. So you get the liquid out, and then you're going to sculpt like the whipped cream topping. So after you set that bead down and it's started to set up a little bit, use the tip of your brush to manipulate it and kind of create a swirly top to it. And then before it sets, press a red rhinestone into it on one side and then a piece of wire in the other side for the straw. And then you can just kind of look at it, and if you decide you need a little bit more acrylic here or there, like I decided to secure my piece of wire so that it didn't have any wiggle room to it. And then I added just a little bit more of the white acrylic here and there just to kind of fill out the shape of my whipped cream so it didn't look like it was flat or anything. The straw kind of pushed in on the one side and flattened it, at least in my opinion, just a touch. So if you add a little bit more, just kind of makes it all work out. And then you can hopefully use your straw or your piece of wire as a handle. And we're going to add some more definition to the cup with some more clear acrylic. So when you're doing this, I said more definition. So like I originally told you, I pinched my straw. It didn't create as much of a tapered look as I was hoping for. So I'm going to do that now with clear acrylic. So to do that, I'm going to bulk up right at the top of the cup where your whipped cream is, and then slowly taper it down to the thickness that it is at the bottom of the cup. So add a fairly thick edge right around that whipped cream area, and then just pull the acrylic down, and you'll get much more of a tapered, plastic cup look. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little bit of a rim on the cup because I always have a thicker circle around the top of the cup that adds some strength and some structure to the cup, as well as what the lid snaps onto if this did have a lid on it. So we're going to add that little bit of clear there, plus doing that step after the whipped cream makes it look like the whipped cream goes in the cup too. And then glue the cup to one end of your rainbow, hold it in place until the glue really kind of sets up, and then glue your cloud to the other end of the rainbow. And if you want to fill in behind these with clear acrylic, that is most definitely a good idea because that'll keep everything really nice and strong and held together. And now after we have it and they're all secured and attached together, then I'm going to be adding a couple little outlines to the bottom of my cloud with some gray. Very subtle. The color of gray that I used is not very dark. It's a medium gray, so it doesn't show up as these bright intense lines or dark intense lines. It's just a little bit of definition here and there. And then with some yellow paint, as you can see how streaky it looks, I'm going to be painting the McDonald's arches on the cup. And I'm not too worried actually about the fact that this looks streaky because I'm going to paint over all of it with gold anyway. And so it doesn't matter. This yellow paint base is just to kind of get the ideas of where the arches are so that you can trace over it easily with gold gel paint in a moment anyway. I think it's easier to work with acrylic paint. So for me, this little base step here is just to make the paint go on, the gel paint go on a little easier. Add some white highlights to my clouds. And then, like I said, using some gold gel paint, we're going to be painting over the yellow portions. And if you didn't want to add the yellow base on, that would be fine. I just wanted to make sure it was really kind of more of that yellow gold color like the background of the nails were, and my gel paint I knew was more of like a soft gold, so that yellow base is going to just sort of color correct the gel paint slightly. It's gonna give it some of that yellow tone through from underneath, but depending on what you're using, completely skippable step if you would like to. Then after we have that, I'm going to paint my straw or my piece of wire with some white gel paint. And then after that's cured, I'm going to put a red stripe on one side of the straw and a gold stripe on the other. I decided to put my red stripe opposite the cherry so that there wasn't two bits of red right next to each other, but it kind of broke it up a little. And now on the thumb, I'm using the color St. Nicholas, which is the one that I told you guys I was going to be showing you. And I just absolutely love this color. It's one that I actually got originally at Christmas time because it was in one of Double Dip's Christmas and holiday kits. And I'm so glad I actually have a duplicate of it because I've used it quite a bit since then. And it is one of my favorites because it is just so easy to work with. And so to sculpt our little shamrocks, this is a pretty easy process, and it's different than you guys will see me do a very similar nail in a couple days, but it's a very similar, just kind of the way that you're making a shamrock is basically a series of hearts, at least in this particular style that I'm doing. So you've got a heart, and then you're going to go to the opposite side and you're going to sculpt another heart that is inverted. So you've got these two hearts that go across from each other, and then you're going to fill in between them with a heart on each side. And when you're sculpting these, I wouldn't go in like a little circle. If you want them to look nice and symmetrical, I would go so like top, bottom, right, left, or north, south, west, east, or something of that nature, so that you don't have to try to, perfectly make them every 90 degrees. It's easier to just go straight across, if that makes sense. So as you're working on this nail, you're going to fill in these adorable little shamrocks basically all over the nail. You want to fill in the majority of the space. And as you're filling in all of this space, try to keep in mind that you want each of your little shamrocks to have some height to it. So don't sculpt them super flat. And the great thing with this particular color of acrylic is that it does create height fairly easily. Some just kind of like flatten out really, really a lot. As soon as you set down the bead, they spread and you have to go around chasing them. But this one, and this is generalized, usually Double Dips sculpt beautifully. But this one in particular just is so easy to work with, and you can create that height fairly effortlessly. But the reason you want the height is because these are going to be completely covered with acrylic and then filed away so that you can see them. So if they don't have any height to them, you're never going to see them, and all of this work would be for naught. So then after we have that and you've let them set up very, very well, leave them to the side for like 10 minutes so that they're 100% set. Then you're going to add an ombre over the top of them, going from the color Woolen Mittens at the tip to White Gleam at the cuticle. And you can go, like as you saw, I actually use the White Gleam first. But do this in thin layers so that you go, white, green, white, green, white, green in that middle area, because it's going to be filed. And if you want it to, stay an ombre, then you need to have layers of ombre, and you have to almost mix the colors as you go when they're wet. So you want to definitely, don't just do all of the white and then do all the green and blend them together so they look right on top. You have to keep in mind they have to look right throughout the nail. So now, after all of that, we're going to file this nail into shape, and we're going to reveal our shamrocks, which is my favorite part of any type of design like this. Is I absolutely love to file them, which is about the only time you can hear me say I love to file something. I usually try to minimize my filing as much as possible. But we're going to get to really expose all of those shamrocks, and it's such a fun process because all of your hard work is, really coming to life right here. And so as you're filing them, just, kind of keep in mind that you want to both reveal your shamrocks and keep the nail in a nice shape. And then after you have all of those shamrocks shown, then you can apply a layer of gel sealer over this nail. And now on my index and pinky, I'm going to create a marble that is very similar and reminiscent to my shamrock shake. So I've got all my 4 colors that you guys can see here. And when I'm doing this, you'll see me every time go into the White Gleam before I go into any of the other colors, any of the other greens, because the white is obviously the lightest color. And when you're grabbing a multicolored bead of acrylic, you want to go from lightest to darkest with your dipping. So you don't want to go and do like, this color St. Nicholas, which is the one in the upper right corner that's a super dark green, and then go into White Gleam because it's going to turn your white green. Ooh. That all rhymed. But you're just going to want to do that. And I'm kind of making this nail heavy on the white because a shamrock shake is fairly pastel in color. After that's filed, apply a layer of gel sealer, and then these are all done. I absolutely love them. I hope you guys love them as much as I do. Like I said, they were hard to photograph, but certainly fun to make. And here is a Melody Minutes. Are you having fun?
Do you want to jump in the puddle?
I'm not going to jump in the puddle.
I would, but Daddy doesn't have the right shoes on.
Nope. Melody, can you put your arms out like you're flying again? Are you a butterfly?
Yeah.
Can you flap your wings? Now jump in the puddle. Arms wide open.
Yeah.
And jump, and jump, and jump.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, all the color information for Double Dips products are in the description box below, so check that out, and I will see all you lovely people next time. Bye!